Hi there, this is Kevin. Today I have an interview for you guys. I am going to interview one of my friends. His name is Mauricio, and he lives here in Brazil. And I'm going to talk to him about his English learning experience. He has decided to teach himself English and learn English from home, from his computer, from his phone, without the help of a English school, or basically not spending any money on learning, just trying to learn at home for free. I find this very interesting because it's a different approach. Most people find a program online or find a school in their neighborhood, spend a lot of money hoping that they will magically learn English, and then they realize that without their own effort, nothing happens. So, Mauricio, I would like to talk to you about your experience and your methods and how you learn, why you're learning alone, and just maybe we can help some people watching this video, help them learn some things about how they also can take control and take responsibility for their English learning instead of depending on someone else. So, Mauricio, how are you today?
Hello, Kevin. I'm doing well. How about you?
Good, good. Thanks for joining me here.
Okay, I thank you. I say thank you. It's a pleasure for me be here and sharing with your um, listeners and your readers
Hmm.
of your blog about my few experience with learn English.
Sure. Yeah. So how long have you been learning English? Can you tell me a little bit about that? Not very long.
I have been studying English about 4 or 5 months ago.
Hmm.
Studying English for real. I
All right.
I have to say
So for real,
that is mean,
seriously studying.
yeah, seriously, that's mean study English every day, every time.
Hmm.
Uh, about
Sure.
4 or 5 months.
Well, so
Four,
it's
5
not long, and now you speak well. I would say so. Before this year, could you communicate in English? Could you have a conversation in English?
I think no. I think no, because I tried to do this about 5 years ago when I have the tools, same tools, so tools kind. How could I say? The same tools that I have in the past. I have now, but in the past, I was not able to do this
Yeah, good.
like
Sure.
right now.
Right. Sure. Perfect. Good. So for 5 months, you've been studying every day. Is that correct?
Every day.
And how long do you study each day?
Um, when I have about I could say about 4 or 5 hours.
Every day.
I don't every day. I don't have a quantity
Hmm.
because every time I doing this. Sometimes is unconsciously
Sure. Right. Sure.
consciously
Unconsciously.
but, because I work in the IT area.
Hmm.
In this area, we have a contact with English in internet and books on English, and so people in this area have been speaking spoken English
Hmm.
every day in
Sure.
this company.
So
So
sometimes.
I have very hours. Uh,
Hmm.
I don't know if I say very hours, several hours
Good.
per day,
Sure.
but about 3 4 hours uh, that every day that I spent with learning English.
And I don't, did you choose to take on this task, to take on this mission alone, instead of just finding a school in the area or buying a package online? Why did you decide to do it on your own when most people do it the other way?
Okay. Since 2010, about this year, I was looking for a way to learn English, and I am not, I was not succeed. And always, I tried to learn English by myself, but I could not. And then this year, in uh, the beginning of this year,
Mm-hmm.
I decided to put in my mind that I going to learn English by myself
Mm-hmm.
because I can't. Exists a lot of channels on YouTube that
Sure.
thought taught when uh, you can learn
Right.
that I think it very, very amazing, very, very awesome is podcasts.
Podcast. What is a podcast?
Podcast, I use podcasts of the site eslpod.com,
So,
eslpod.com.
and could you first, if for somebody that doesn't know, maybe somebody doesn't know, what is a podcast?
Podcast is like a radio program. Radio.
Mm-hmm.
In Brazil, we have programs like this. I don't know if you have such program in radio in United States or Canada.
Mm-hmm.
But here in Brazil, we have programs like this. It's like program radio, but it's about a specific topic.
Sure.
Those that I have, those podcasts that I have listened
Mm-hmm.
is about ESL, that is English as a second language. Is English developed by people, usually people who are native speakers, and they build, they develop this podcast for people who are learning English. So this
Sure. Right.
podcast is specifically for people who are learn English.
So
Like
they speak slower, it's easier to understand.
yes,
Sure.
yes.
Uh-huh.
They use basic vocabularies. They speak slowly, very, very slowly. They explain even the basic words that native speakers could you think that is word, but for us that I just learning is very, very awesome.
Sure. Uh-huh. Yeah, great. So podcast, videos. Would you say that you do mostly listening practice when you're learning?
Listening,
Yeah.
listening. I could say reading is true because, as I said, I have much contact with the English writing,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Mm-hmm.
writing. Uh, I could say reading. Speaking is not too much. It's not. I not been. I haven't been practice my speaking because it's so difficult to find someone who are learning too, uh,
Sure.
and they wanted to train the speaking. Those people some kind awkward to speaking.
Yeah.
It seems to me they have fear to make mistakes.
And
Uh,
who do you speak with? Who do you practice Who are you talking about? Who are these people?
Um, in early days, I found website, uh, a website called Shared Talk,
Mm-hmm.
sharedtalk.com.
Mm-hmm.
That is a website for exchange
All
learning,
right. So like language exchange.
language exchange. Yes,
Sure.
I was looking for this word,
Mm-hmm.
language exchange. There are people who are the people who wanted to learn Portuguese, and I natively speak of Portuguese, and I want to learn my English,
Mm-hmm.
speak, train
Sure.
my speaking, and it's a good deal.
But it's good. But you said it's a little difficult to find somebody who to speak with. Plus, you said they feel a little awkward and they're not very comfortable speaking with you, and that can cause problems. That's correct.
About this situation with my friends, for example,
Mm-hmm.
friends,
Okay. Sure.
they
Right.
they study, they learn English, but they have fear to speak English
All
with
right.
me.
So you obviously, Mauricio, you're not afraid to speak English, right? You're not afraid to make mistakes. Would you agree with me?
Yes,
And this,
they have fear of make mistakes.
sure.
I
And
agree.
this is very important, and it's probably a reason that you have progressed so quickly, is because you're not afraid to make mistakes.
No,
Yeah.
I don't have any fear about this because I learn. That is common make mistakes. Native speakers of English made mistakes, make mistakes.
Absolutely. Americans like
Uh,
myself, we make mistakes all the time. It's very common.
Here in Brazil, we make mistakes about Portuguese every day, every time.
Sure.
Sometimes people don't perceive that they just made a mistake, and we can live with this.
And sure, and it's true. One thing about that is you have to make mistakes. Especially when you're learning, there's going to be many times when you don't feel comfortable. You feel awkward. You feel like you're making a lot of mistakes, and you're struggling. You're having problems communicating. But this is just a part of learning, and you have to go through this period if you want to improve. There's no
Yes,
way to there's no way to improve without struggling. Struggling, I mean, there's no way to improve without having difficulties. And
yes,
I think some people avoid these difficulties. They don't want to feel bad, so they try not to feel bad.
yes.
I can say when I was learning Portuguese here in Brazil, there was a long time where I was uncomfortable in situations. I couldn't talk to people. I couldn't communicate, and I tried and I asked questions and I made a lot of mistakes I did what I could, but it definitely wasn't easy sometimes. And you want to speak with people. You want to express yourself. You want to understand them, but you can't get there quickly. You have to go through an uncomfortable period and a difficult period if you want to get better. It's just part of the process.
Yes,
Yeah,
I totally agree with this.
yeah,
Uh, Sometimes those people who have those people who are uncomfortable. I sometimes be uncomfortable.
mm-hmm.
I know, no, not uncomfortable. I mean, unconfident, unconfident,
Unconfident. Uh huh.
unconfident. Sometimes I have been not not so confident
Sure.
about to speak,
Uh huh.
but I can manage this situation and pass through this lack of confidence.
Sure, and that's a good point. You
Go
will
ahead.
you have to be patient. You have to know that you will pass through this, but you have to be patient. You have to let it happen. You have to practice and train,
Yeah.
and let yourself get better.
Yes.
But my last question.
This is
Oh, go ahead. You
uh,
have something to say?
that you have just say is some of my keywords that is casualty.
Casualty, like
Casually.
casual, being casual.
Yes.
Casual. And explain that. What do you mean by that?
Um, that do you not have to struggle about learning English? You not have to worry about I not learning too much. I learn, study hard, but I can't speak. I can't understand what they say. No,
Hmm.
those people not have to worry about this because uh, they have to input the English. They have to input the English in your brain. Listen is uh, 10 in 10 people who say that listening is most important thing about learning English. I
Sure.
don't know if you have the same idea.
I absolutely agree. 100%.
Listening, uh, I was a real proof because I have made this. I have been listening many various audios and podcasts.
Sure. All right. So and it's because you don't have a lot of opportunity to speak, right? Because you're learning by yourself. So it's a good example. You are a great
So,
example of
so casual, I mean by casualty, be casual
and
is a story.
casual listening. You listen when you want to. You listen when you feel like it, right?
You don't have to worry. Sit down in your
Mm-hmm.
sofa. Sit down on your couch. Take your smartphone, put your headphone in your ears, and listen some audio. If you want to, you don't have to do this. Maybe you will watch a movie or episode of your series, your preferred series.
Series, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, what it sounds like you're saying is kind of to make friends, if I could say that, to make English a friend, and not treat it like an enemy, but to treat it like a friend, and
yes.
to not stress about it, and just practice and train
I'm a
in
little,
ways that you enjoy and that you like.
I am a little bit more radical.
Uh huh.
You have to, you have to, uh, you have to fall in love with English.
Oh, great, sure. Falling in
Uh,
love, sure. Make English your girlfriend.
yes,
Sure, that's good. Yeah,
I,
if you can do that.
I I was watching in my smartphone is the copy in that a copy of my three keywords in my smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and the basic idea is the first one of it is be casual. Don't worry about learning English.
All right.
The second keyword is consistency. Yeah.
Consistency.
Consistent.
Explain that consistency. Explain. What do you mean by that?
Um, uh, Consistency is you don't have to worry about English. Uh, but it's not the same idea that you don't have to study English. No, you have to study. But
Mm-hmm.
don't worry if you no, don't worry about study your book. No. If you want, if you don't want to study the book,
Mm-hmm.
go to the smartphone because it is this. But be in a consistent learning thing.
Consistency.
Você
So always be learning a little bit. To always be doing something every day. Doing
maybe
something every day.
5 minutes, maybe
Sure.
10 minutes, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But just one episode of podcast is it's great.
Sure,
Learn.
sure. So the first one was in being casual. Don't
Yes.
stress out. Treat English lightly. Find things that you enjoy doing, and being casual about it. And then the
Yes.
second one is being consistent
Consistent.
in studying at least a little bit, at least something every day.
Yes.
Do you have any other main advice or main dicas that you say?
My three keyword is variety. Variety.
The third keyword is variety.
Variety.
Varieties. What do you mean by that?
Um, you have to find uh, several resources to learn English.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get bored about one resource, then you can go to other resource. I mean, if you get bored about listen podcasts, go to YouTube channel that teach you learn English. If you get bored in YouTube, go to the website, go to a smartphone app like Duolingo,
Sure. So
Duolingo.
You don't ever stop. You just if you're not enjoying what you're doing, if you don't like what you're doing, do something else, right?
Yes.
Stop that and find something else to do. I agree with that. That's a good point.
Maybe in a specific situation in your day, you have to choose one of them. When I was on a bus, for example, I choose hear my favorite podcasts. I put my headphone in the ear and listen several episodes
Mm-hmm.
Of podcasts. When when I be here in my home, I sitting couch, take my smartphone and take some lessons of Duolingo. Uh, um, Several others application. The Android system operation, they have a lot of applications related to learn English learning.
Right.
And if you go to Google
Mm-hmm.
Play,
Mm-hmm.
you can search words like learning English. You will find many applications.
Sure. So always changing and not doing the same thing over and over, but putting variety in your practicing. So and that's another question. A lot of people they don't think they can learn it. They can improve their English by themselves because they don't know what to study. For you, how do you know what to do? Because nobody's telling you, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to learn this, or you need to learn this. So how do you choose what you are going to learn?
This is this is what I mean when I say be casual, because I don't have to think about what am I going to study today. I don't know, maybe about simple past or future things. I don't know. I don't
Sure.
care about those.
Great. Yeah. So you really mean being casual means you don't worry about what you're going to study or if you're improving this area or not. You're literally just doing whatever you feel like doing.
Yes, simply go there and learning, enjoy yourself with things.
Very important. I think that's very important. Sure.
Yes, I think too. And sometimes I learn about one word versus other word that the same. Uh, uh, they are a little bit. How could I say?
Similar.
Simile.
Mm-hmm. Similar.
For example, how when I have to use that, when I have to use this,
Mm-hmm.
things like that.
Hmm.
But definitely, I don't put myself uh, put on my mind that I have to the obligation
Great, sure.
to study the specific specific point or
So
specific.
that's great. It's cool. So it is very casual. You have done something different. You don't need to worry about what you're doing or if you're improving in certain areas. Just doing something is the point, right? Just doing, spending
Yes,
time with English is the key, basically.
yes.
Yeah.
We was a child. Uh,
Hmm.
we don't care. We don't care about this when I was
It's
child.
true, right? It's very true. We don't choose. We don't have to learn grammar in specific areas of language to speak. We just
We
naturally
just
do
we
everything.
just speak. We just repeat or other repeat words that our parents said to us.
Hmm.
And by repetition is maybe is a four keyword. I don't thought
Hmm.
of this, but as you mentioned right now, repetition is very important point about learning and
So
learning.
what do you mean by repetition?
Repetition is you have to listen. Maybe you have to listen the same episode of
Hmm.
podcast.
Sure,
Maybe one, two, five, one, two, three, four,
sure,
five times.
right.
But repetition is very, very important. I have learning about this topic recently. AJ Hall
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, talk. I talk a lot about this. AJ Hall
Sure,
is a
from
kind
effortless
of
English.
yes. You could say a little bit more about AJ Hall, but
Hmm.
I have been listening audios that they speak about this repetition. Repetition is a very important thing
Sure, yeah.
about learning
So
English.
that maybe might be something that you have to be a little less casual with, correct? Like you can't just listen to a song once or watch a movie in English and say, "Oh, okay, it's cool."
Yeah.
It's fun, but you have to possibly put a little bit of more effort into it and force
Uh,
yourself to repeat
I have to
lessons.
say, that I mean by repetition is not listen the podcast and uh, in a sequence. No, no, you
Mm.
don't necessarily. This
Okay,
is
so
not necessarily in sequence.
okay, uh huh.
Maybe you listen to the podcast uh, in morning and in the afternoon you listen the same podcast again,
Hmm.
and night you same
Okay,
other
so not back to
and
back. It could be
tomorrow you will listen to again, but
sure.
not
Depends.
necessarily in a sequence because a sequence is a little bit bored or annoying.
Boring, yeah, it can be boring to listen
Or
many
yes,
many times. But
but the think the people who not think this doing this is not boring. Okay, too.
sure, it's true,
You,
and
you can listen.
that's a good point. And there's definitely for everybody that's learning, you will have different styles and you'll have different methods that
Great.
you like to do. You have to find what you like to do, and if you are casual and if you practice and train with things that you like to do, over time you'll notice, oh, I like to do this, I don't like to do this. Oh, this is good for me, this isn't good for me. But by trying different things and experimenting with different methods, you will learn what are the best methods for you
Yeah.
personally. And that's the big difference between learning by yourself, learning at home, and learning at a school. At a school, they give you a book and they teach everybody the same way. And a lot of people don't learn well in that traditional school way. So you have to find your own methods and your own techniques. It takes some responsibility on your own part.
It's a great point of view. I totally agree with you because I found my method I found my way to learn English, and each one, everybody have to find everybody have to find the method that is more correctly is a question.
Correct. Or you
That's
could say
correct.
that everybody has to find their own method, right?
Yes,
Their personal
yes.
method. Yeah. And then another question I would have for you is, so you're alone, and how do you know you're getting better? Nobody's telling you, oh, great, you got a 10 on your test, or you passed this chapter. Now you're on the second book. Blah 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 blah. How do you know you are improving for yourself?
I know that I've been improving a lot in very faster. You is real proof of this because in our last call,
Hmm.
I was a little bit awkward to talk with you,
Sure. Uh huh.
inconfident, and at this time, I think that I improve a little bit more
Sure.
than the
Yeah.
last.
Right.
And I could say that I received a call of Canada in last week.
Hmm.
I
At work.
know it's for migration. Migration is a word.
Oh. Uh huh. Immigration.
Because I have fulfilled my personal informations in site of in their sites,
Hmm.
their sites, not their website,
Hmm.
and their site helps people who want to migrate to Canada.
Okay.
Migrate is a word
Uh huh.
to,
To
yes, yes,
emigrate. Uh huh.
immigrate,
Hmm.
yes. Okay, and then they called me. I don't expect this.
Yeah. Well.
I, and uh, I don't know. I think
Answered.
answer.
Uh
Yes,
huh.
answer is the word. When I answered my phone, she said to me, "I would like to talk. May I talk to Mr. Mauricio?"
Oh
I
wow. Sure.
I thought, wow.
So it's
um,
cool. It seems like naturally, if you're putting a lot of effort into English, then opportunities will come where you can practice your English. Would you agree?
yes, I
Yeah.
totally agree with this. And she asked me about some personal information, like my profession. I said to her that I am system analyst,
Hmm.
and she asked me if I have a degree. Degree is a word to,
Uh huh.
uh, but with this, I mean, with this situation, I mean that my English is improving because I could talk to her. I could manage the situation.
Sure. Uh huh.
Uh,
Understood.
she understand me, and I understand her, and
Great. Yeah. That's
the
cool.
grade is awesome to
Sure.
me.
It's a good feeling when you realize that you are learning English and you can actually communicate with somebody who doesn't speak Portuguese, right? They only speak English and you can actually have a conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. Very cool.
Uh, sure. I have sure that I'm just learning. I'm make several mistakes. No. Uh, I make several mistakes. No
Mistakes, uh
mistakes.
huh. Correct. Uh huh.
I make several mistakes all the time. I speak wrong all the time, but I what I do. I'm just learning.
Oh, sure. And that's the that is the
Prob-
process.
Probably about 1 year, 2 years, uh, I will be able to speak more correctly.
Oh,
Correct.
sure, absolutely. I'd say in 1 year you will be very
Fluent.
good. In 1 year you will be excellent. In 2 years you'll probably speak better than I do, I would imagine.
No, no,
Um,
I don't think.
so that's great. And now I'm going to end the call. But let me just go real quickly through what you think are the four. You gave three, kind of three plus one key
Yeah,
points,
maybe
and if that you could share with people. And the first one was being learning casually, right?
learning casually.
Don't
Yes.
don't make inglês. Não faça inglês um inimigo. Faça
Yeah.
inglês um amigo, right?
Take English as your friend, as your girlfriend.
Oh yeah, it's true. Make
Treat,
English your bitch, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Treat English very, very well.
Treat it very well. Sure,
Yes.
perfect. And then the second one was I forget
Consistent.
consistency, meaning
Yes. Means
studying a little bit
every
all the
day.
time, every day, as much as
Uh,
possible. Just
if you have a chance to put yourself in contact with English all the time, great, great, great for you.
sure,
Uh, do this. But if you not able to do this, maybe 5 minutes. Everybody have 5 minutes
absolutely.
in your day.
Everybody has at least 5 minutes in their day for
Yes.
English. If they say they don't, they are lying, and I've heard that a lot. But of course, you have 5 minutes, obviously. And the third word you said was
Variety.
variety, correct?
Yes, variety.
And if you get bored with something, something becomes chato, boring, change it. Do something else. Don't force yourself to do something that you don't like to do. There,
Don't worry. Don't worry too about what I have to do, what you have to do.
right.
Uh, uh, Something like that. Oh, what I have to do today? No, no, no. Don't worry about this. But if you have variety,
Mm-hmm.
you have several choice. Then if you get bored
Sure.
with one of your one of your choices, you can go to the other maybe website or channel on YouTube, an app,
Sure.
and on
Change.
your
Yeah.
smartphone. Change or read a book if you like to read books. Read books is great too.
Sure.
But variety is a keyword.
Variety is
Right.
key. And then you also
Uh,
said that the last one, which was repetition, and repetition just repetition comes down to memorization. If you want to remember something, you can't, most people need to hear it several times. So it's great if you watch an episode of a series or listen to a song, but if you really want to memorize the words, you have to repeat as much as possible.
repeat.
Right.
Because as AJ Hug said in one of those audios, uh, repetition,
Mm-hmm.
you will read, you will heard uh, minutious, minutious things. I mean, you will learn a little bit different things
Mm-hmm.
by the same audio.
So you'll get the details, the little details in the
Yeah,
language that you didn't hear the first time, right?
it's, one of time you will notice about a word that you just learning. The other time you will notice other word.
Mm-hmm.
Other time you will learn how to pronunciate uh, something word.
Sure.
Uh, Something like that. Repetition is a for keyword. I have been
Adding.
adding this
Sure.
for keyword in real time, but it's a great too.
Yeah, sure.
Rep-
No, there are. And so great. I think people can really learn something from what you've said, and seeing somebody who actually is learning on their own is important. It is possible. You don't have to spend thousands and thousands of reais on an English school or some superhero program that you see online. You can do it on your own. There's no magic. Nothing comes that quickly. It takes hard work, and it takes definitely the things that Mauricio said you need to implement. And anybody can get better. It's possible for everyone. So great, Mauricio. Thanks again for joining us here and trying to help other people learn
Thank you.
English. And I appreciate your time. Maybe in some months we'll have another talk and see where you are, see where your progress is
Okay.
in the future. All right?
Okay, thank you, man. It was a pleasure for me, and I just say thank you to you.
Sure. Alrighty. See you later. Good luck.
Okay.